Hello and welcome to the Made in Romance podcast. I'm your host Sarah Bailey, and we also have my co-host here, Sab, aka SR7.
Hey everyone, hey Sarah.
Hey, you good?
Yeah, not too bad, aside from the fact that I had to order a new kettle because my kettle's broken. So yeah, there's that. And I've finished my pot of tea. So let's try and do this. How are you?
I'm good. I understand the feels of a kettle breaking because it happened to me recently.
Yeah.
Not fun.
No.
We love our tea, so yeah. But it's a bit too hot here to have tea today at this moment.
It's never
Never
too
too
hot.
hot. It's never too
No,
hot.
not for
Okay.
me. Look,
Not for me.
tea is everything to me, okay? Like I live on it. I thrive off of tea. If I don't have tea, something is horrifically wrong with me.
Well, today, and we also love spilling the tea as well. So,
Yes.
Anyways, let's get into the podcast discussion.
Let's dive in.
So, on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about our favorite romance books.
Yeah.
Yay! So, I am going to put a little warning on the top of this podcast to say we will be talking about these books in depth, and there will probably be spoilers. So, if you don't want spoilers for the books, well, that's not our problem. Sorry, but this is what happens on our podcast. We try not to spoil books in general, but today we're talking about our favorite books, and we can't do that without perhaps spoiling them a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I want there to be some kind of mystery. I want
Yeah.
to intrigue people.
Intrigue our listeners. Yes.
Yeah.
But then, but I'm just putting this on in case we do put a spoiler in there by accident, or
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, no, because we've got to give them a bit of warning, you know.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to start. I know that we've both got a number of books each to talk about, so we're going to alternate between us. So the first book on my list of favorites is something I read at the beginning of last year and got absolutely enthralled and obsessed with this book, and it is dun, 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 Bait by Jade West.
Yeah, Bait. that's one of mine as well on my list.
Because I suggested this book to Sab recently, and then she read it, and she was like, "Oh my god, Sarah!" And I was
Listen,
like, "Yes."
this book. There's listen, this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the synopsis of this book for our listeners so that they know that what we're talking about. So here we go. A stranger online, dark hair and even darker eyes that knew my dirty desires before I did. A fantasy that should never be spoken, but he pulled a confession from me, and now he's coming for me. Rough, dirty, dangerous. It's supposed to be one night to get me off and make me forget. He'll make me his, and I'll pretend I don't want him to. I'll run and he'll chase. Because I asked him for this. I begged him for this. Tonight in the darkness, he's the hunter, and I'm the bait.
Yeah. So basically, there's no misconceptions about what this book is about. It's as it says it is.
It is dark. It is erotic.
Yeah.
It is dirty. It is filth, and I absolutely loved it. And then to go on top of that, it wasn't just all the dark, dirty, filthy sex, which was just so hot that I was like fanning myself reading it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the story to go along with it, because these two characters, I mean, how fucking broken were they?
Oh, jeez. I don't. So you already know. Like when I started reading this, I was like saying to you, what the hell? Like I was already so involved in this story and their kind of what happened to them, even though it wasn't actually clear. When I started reading it, I was just like, I bet this is what happened, and you were like, not saying anything. I'm like, what? But no, the story and the feels, and oh dear, it was just fantastic. Everything about it.
it's definitely one of those books you have to go in with an open mind about, because it is a lot. As you were in a read in the synopsis, there is a bit of role play with obviously a non-consensual scene. And I was like, when I read the synopsis, I was like, oh what shit, well, what is this? But I was so intrigued by it that I just had to start reading, and I read it, and then I was like, oh my god, these two characters. So we've got, is her name's Abigail, right?
Yes.
And Phoenix, aka Leo.
Yeah.
Who I'm Leo is my book boyfriend. I'm just gonna put that out there. He's one of my book
stop
boyfriends.
it! You've got so many book boyfriends.
I know. I haven't met. Well, no, I have my book boyfriends that are my boys that I've written, and then my book boyfriends from other books. So there's two separate categories in my book boyfriend. Same, but oh my god! So he's like heavily tattooed, which I absolutely, everyone knows I am like down for tattooed men. I'm like, yes, please. I will be drooling over them. And he's got a dark past, and he's also got a kid. And I absolutely adored his little boy. I was just like, oh my gosh. And everything about this book, there's family drama. And I was just like, oh. But okay, let me break it down. Let's talk about these fucking sex scenes.
God.
Bruv. I was just like, oh, because when this guy chases her down and like basically forces her, obviously she wants it. I was just like, I've never seen anything written like this before. So I've obviously heard of like people writing or people being interested in kind of like non-consensual fantasies, but to actually see it written and played out in such a way that wasn't exactly like disturbing, because you knew that both of these characters had agreed to it beforehand. So when I read it, it was like, I had it in my, even though it was kind of like, oh my god, what the fuck. It was also okay, but they both agreed to this in the first place, and they both want it. So it wasn't problematic for me, and it might be problematic for other people, I don't know. But I just felt like the connection between the two of them was so intense, even after when they'd never met each other and they had that first time in the industrial park or wherever it was. The industrial estate, and I was just like, holy shit, like damn. But yeah, I don't want to spoil the story, so I'm not gonna like be talking too much about what else goes on in this book, because if you like dark romance and you like filthy dirty sex, I would highly recommend this book. Absolutely,
I would second that.
Yeah, but you really do have to go in with an open mind, because it is quite intense.
But it's like, okay, so it is mad intense, and I think what makes that first sex scene so brilliant and so worthwhile was the fact that there had been this huge understanding between the both of them, and it was like, it wasn't like he was just some creep, or just, she made sure that she could trust him, because that's what it's about. And I think when I read it, I was really ready for it, to be completely honest with you. I really liked the fact that he had taken steps to basically plan everything so that she knew exactly what would happen and when he would strike. And I think it was so thrilling and exciting, but also had this underlying kind of fear behind this chase. It was incredible. I don't know. And the fact that, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but
No.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely have to go into it with an open mind. But it was brilliant.
It was. Okay, then there's one final thing I have to talk about, and I apologise to our listeners. But can we talk about Leo's pierced dick?
Okay. Yeah.
When I read this, I was like, holy shit. And he sent a picture of it to her, and she was just like, oh my god.
But that was quite nice of him to do.
Yes.
At least he gave her a warning.
I know. I was just imagining sitting there thinking, imagine if he just didn't tell her about this, and he just, suddenly she was like, they were playing out this scene, and then he like fucked her, and I was just like, fuck, man.
Amazing. Amazing.
I mean, come on, in our fantasies, who doesn't want a man who's a tattooed man with 5 piercings in his dick? I mean,
yeah.
just saying.
But you know, this book was just it was filthy. It was
filthy.
It was brilliant. It was just
I
brilliant.
think it satisfied our filthy little
Yeah.
need for filth in a way. I'll
Jeez.
be honest, I have never been so satisfied by filth until I read this book. I love steam. Everyone knows this, and everyone knows I love filth. But this really, it was just a time when I was really getting into like dark romance, and this is the first time I read something that was that filthy. And I was just like, oh boy, like I'd read filth before, but this was like on a new level, and I was like, yes, please, I need more of this.
Listen. So to our listeners, I really just wanted a filthy book. I wanted filthy books, and I went to Sarah. Sarah gave me a long list of filthy books, which she'd rated 5 stars, so I can trust her 100%.
And then you asked me which book was the filthiest.
Yeah, I did. I asked which one was the filthiest, and it was Bait. So I started with Bait, and I'll be honest with you, after I finished, I devoured that book. And when I finished it, I just didn't feel that there would be any other book that would fill the void. I was just there like, I want more of them, because it's fucking amazing, man. It was just,
you wanted more of the filth.
Yeah.
Just like me.
Yeah.
Even though the ending was very, very satisfying, I was still like, I need more filth. Well, she has written some more. Jade West is like the queen of filth. So there are some books that she's written that are too much for me. However, that doesn't stop her from being one of my favourites for when it comes to filth. Okay, so I think that's enough about that book, because I think we could go on about it forever. So let's move on through and let's take one of Sab's favourite books.
Okay, so Sarah, you haven't read this one yet, but you know that
it's probably on my list.
All of the books that I have discussed are on your list, and only one of them you've read. But this one has to be my current absolute favourite, which is driving me utterly insane. And unfortunately, I can't really speak to Sarah about it because I know she wants to read it, but I will disclose some information. It's called Once a Myth by Pepper Winters, and it's part of a series called The Goddess Isles. And it's a dark romance. Now, Pepper Winters, I'm sure that we've mentioned her before. She is a dark romance writer, and I fell in love with her years ago. And I got Sarah into her books, and geez, damn. So I'm just going to go straight into this book, and I'll read the synopsis so that you guys can get a flavour for it. There was a boy once. A boy who wasn't strong enough to save me when I was taken. There was a girl once, a girl called Tess Snow, who sat with me in the dark, waiting to be sold. There was an owner once, an owner who bought me, entrapped me, and made me his unwilling goddess. Eleanor Grace is a naive dreamer, trusting and young. She believes her travel-loving boyfriend can save her when her freedom is snatched and sold. Squirreled away to an island at dawn, delivered to a man that even darkness won't touch, she's bound by a contract. Sullivan Sinclair is the giver of fantasies. Any wish, any desire, he is the master at quenching any appetite. His private paradise and perfectly trained goddesses are there for one purpose: to ensure every guest is extremely well satisfied. He bought her, he trapped her, she belongs to him. So, Once a Myth. There you have it. And all I can say is this book still, it's still giving me shivers just thinking about it, because Eleanor Grace is one of the feistiest, strongest heroines that I've come across in a very, very long time. Like, I fell in love with her from page 1. And there's something so regal about her, despite the situation she's in. She's been taken, she's been forced into this situation, but she never falters. It's almost as if she has this strength that no one can touch. And Sullivan Sinclair, or Sully, he is just this ultimate dominant alpha, strong, and as the book describes him, to be a god. It's like he is the god. This is his island, and these are his goddesses, and everything he says goes. It's just he is a law unto himself. And the moment that he sees Eleanor, it's like I can't. They're just immediate chemistry, but she despises him. It's like he's so taken back by it, he has no words, and it infuriates him. It absolutely, her defiance infuriates him, and he does everything in his power to break her. And there are moments where she's so vulnerable, yet she's able to mask that from him, and it's almost as if that they are both wearing masks, and it's incredible to read. Honestly, I cannot spoil this book. There is no way for me to spoil this book, but all I can say is it builds and it builds. There are 5 books to this series, and there's the third one came out this week, and it's driving me mad. It's driving me utterly insane. I can't. It's just fantastic, but it. All the books end on a cliffhanger, and I'm just so angry. I'm so angry because these cliffhangers, they are just fantastic, and they're just a mind fuck. They fuck with your mind. It just fucks with you. It's left me shaken so many times. I think my heart has stopped. My heart truly stopped several times reading Once a Myth. I'm not gonna lie. And the other books, just insane. So all I can say is, if you want to delve into dark romance and you fancy, I don't know, Pepper Winter's Once a Myth, because you're so intrigued by what the fuck it's about, just pick it up and read it. Honestly, just fucking read it, man, because you're not going to regret it. I'm being completely honest with you. But read it once all the books have come out. Don't be a fool like me.
Be like Sarah and wait patiently so that you can binge read them.
Exactly. Be like Sarah. Don't be like Sab. Sab is an idiot who will like stay up at midnight and then stay up from midnight and go to sleep at 6 a.m. because she's so in bloody book on a weekday when she has work at 8 a.m. So just don't be like Sab. Be like Sarah. Be sensible.
Be sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I can't wait to read these. However, I am being sensible and waiting because I know there's another 2 books to come out. So this in 2 months' time, I will.
Yeah.
I have the first book to say, but I have not read it yet.
Yeah.
Because Sab warned me, and I was like, you know what? I'm not putting myself through that because I know I will probably want to like rage, and I don't want to get.
I admire your restraint. I'm not gonna lie, I completely admire your restraint. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I was so do you know what? I'm so into it that I want to sign up for the arcs, but there's some long ass process, and I'm just like, fuck this. I'm gonna wait until I'm just gonna wait until they come out. Too much effort, man. No, I'm just gonna
Wait, just wait for them to come out.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. So that's Once a Myth, the Goddess Isle series. So that's on Secrets, and now I'll go back to my list. Okay, so we're going to go on with a series now. This is the only series I have on my list, but I am absolutely obsessed with this series. So it starts with book 1, and the book 1 is called Wanting Mr. Kane by Shanora Williams, and it is the Kane series. And there are there's 3, but it's a trilogy, and then there's a novella as the last book, but it's kind of like, you know, a 3.5 in the series. And this is, well, I'm going to read the synopsis of the first book so that you can see what's going on here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so here we go. Candy. It was love at first sight when I met Mr. Kane. He was handsome, broody, tattooed, and rich. For years, he's been mine. He just didn't know it. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with him, or for him to want me in ways that he did. Want me in the ways that he did. None of it was ever supposed to happen, but after all we've done together, it's too late to turn back now. And a once harmless crush had blossomed into something so much more. Kane. When we first met, she was just a kid, my best friend's daughter, a sweet young girl with a big heart. Now, but now she's a young woman who knows what she wants, and all she wants is me. I've tried holding back, pretending the connection meant nothing, but my sweet candy cane made it impossible. If anyone finds out, I'll be ruined. I've worked too hard to lose everything I've built, but there's just something about her that tempts me, making me want to sacrifice just about anything to have her.
Well, well, well.
Oh my days. Okay, so the premise of this book is essentially I think she's known Kane since she was like 9 years old, which I know sounds really dodgy. I think it was 9. I'm pretty sure it was 9. The start of the book, she is a kid. And I was like, what the fuck am I reading? Because this is actually the first time I read proper age gap romance. And this is what made me obsessed with them. This is what really, like, I've always loved forbidden romances, but this one drove me to read age gap forbidden romances. And oh my gosh. So when I first started the first couple of chapters, I was like, why am I reading about a little girl having a crush on a guy? But then she turns 18 and they kind of start, you can see their connection like straight away. There's no wondering why she likes him or he likes her, which is what I was scared about when I first went into this book. And the love they have with each other is amazing, but the drama in this book, like, oh my god. In the whole series is so much drama. There's annoyingly enough other woman drama, and then there's drama obviously because he's her dad's best friend. So Kane is actually young dad, I might add. So he's in his like 30s and she's 18. Oh my god. And so it goes on over this period of time, like the entire series goes on actually over at least a couple of years, I think, because she goes off to college in the second book and there's all sorts of things happen. But my god, the intensity of this book. And everyone knows that I love tattooed men, so that was like a bonus for me. But like, seriously. And then Shanora Williams, this woman is the queen of cliffhangers. Every single book was this like drop dead, like, I want to kill myself cliffhanger. I was like, I need the next book now. So I basically binge read the series because it is all out, thankfully. And I'm so glad that I found it when it was all out, because I probably would have like screamed if I hadn't. And every single like series I've read, or not quite series, but duet I've read by Shanora has had these cliffhangers in, and they're just so frustrating, but so good. So yeah, she's I've read quite a few of her stories, and some of them have been not as good as the other ones. But yeah, Kane is my favorite series, and I know that I got one of my other author friends into this series as well, and she's like, Kane's my boyfriend, and I'm just like, okay, he's mine too. I was like, I saw him first, okay? He was mine first. No, I'm joking. But this series, like, literally, after that, I was like, give me more age gaps, give me more forbidden romances. And then went on this, like, age gap forbidden romance, like,
binge, basically.
And I absolutely adore it. And this is not the only age gap forbidden romance I have in the list, I have to say. However, this is my favorite series. In that kind of trope, and it's one of my favorite series, and I really need to reread it because I absolutely adore it. And so yeah, if you want something that's angsty, drama filled, and just oh my god, then pick up the Kane series by Shanora Williams, because I honestly adore this series. And that's pretty much what I've got to say about that one.
I've never I haven't yet read an age gap romance yet, but I have been recommended one, which I will be diving into soonish. And I imagine perhaps
that book is on my list.
Birthday Girl?
Yes.
Penelope Douglas.
We'll be talking about that later.
Yes, we'll let Sarah disclose that information. But yeah, that's been recommended to me. So yeah, that'll be my first age gap romance I'll be reading soon, and I'll be really intrigued into seeing how I react to that. We'll see.
I'm saying nothing right now. Okay. Shall we go on to Sab's next favourite?
Okay, so the next 3 that I have to discuss, just to let you guys know, is paranormal / fantasy-ish romance. So they aren't going to be dark romances or anything like that. Because, and I've chosen these three because they are literally my favorite series. Like, honestly, I die when all of the authors release a new book for it. I'm just like, they're forever branded on my heart. But I'm going to shout out to EJ Dawson for these next two because we both have a love for these authors. And she will appreciate this. So this book is called A Hunger Like No Other, and it is by Kresley Cole, and it is book 2 of the Immortals After Dark series. And the reason why I've chosen this one is because when I first started this series years ago, when I was, well, I want to say early 20s, I think, yeah, early 20s. This book was actually the first in the series, but now it's the second because the author released a prequel. So to me, this will always be the first book, and therefore that's why I'll be discussing. So the synopsis, and I apologize if I get these names like pronounced wrong, but I'll do my best. So, after enduring years of torture from the vampire horde, Lachlan McCreeve, leader of the Lycae clan, is enraged to find the predestined mate he's waited millennia for is a vampire, or partly one. This Emmeline is a small, ethereal half-Valkyrie, half-vampire, who somehow begins to soothe the fury burning within him. Sheltered Emmeline Troy finally sets out to uncover the truth about her deceased parents, until a powerful Lycae claims her as his mate and forces her back to his ancestral Scottish castle. There, her fear of the Lycae and their notorious dark desires ebbs as he begins a slow, wicked seduction to sate her own dark cravings. Yet, when an ancient evil from her past resurfaces, will their desire deepen into a love that can bring a proud warrior to his knees and turn a gentle beauty into the fighter she was born to be? So, this is the synopsis for the book. And I have to say that diving into this book when I was a young adult was really fun for me because there's so much humour and the world building's just natural. It's set in this day and age. It's set modern, but he's just he's just not okay. he's just not all there. I don't know. It's just that Scottish, like, just Scottish mannerisms. He just doesn't give a fuck. He's just so enraged with life. And well, to be fair, he was imprisoned for millennia. Basically, he's just been underground for a millennia. Time has just run away. He has no idea of this modern world that we're living in. And then when he finally escapes, the only reason he does escape from imprisonment is because he senses that his mate is around. And in this series, whenever a Lycae or a vampire comes across their mate, they just go batshit crazy and they chase her down. So he senses her and his inner beast just comes out and he gives chase. He can smell her, he escapes, he's mad with lust, like completely enraged at the fact that he's been imprisoned for a millennia. So he is just a big ball of fury. And I love that.
An unhinged man.
Completely unhinged, completely wolfy, everything. I love it. And she is very, very naive, like completely naive. She's just this very, very timid character, despite her being half Valkyrie and half vampire. And in this world, the Valkyries and the vampires are mortal enemies, so that's fun. But she's been raised. Yeah. So in this world, you've got the Lycae, you've got vampires, you've got Valkyries, witches, you've got enchantresses, and they all respectively have their own kind of like or dislike for one another. Basically, nobody likes the vampire. And the witches and the Valkyries get on like a house on fire, like they're best friends. And they throw house parties. Just think of like sororities where every day is like fun for them. That's the witches and the Valkyries are the fun, the this amazing women. Strong, they'll kill you. Like they don't give a fuck.
They'll kill you. Okay.
Literally, like, yeah, it's just a fun fucking world, and I love it because everyone their own kind of power and their own strength, and they just own it. They own everything. But Emmeline, she's half vampire and half Valkyrie. She was raised by her Valkyrie family. So she's in the Valkyrie sorority house with her aunts and, you know, friends and shit who are all basically looking the same age as her because they're all immortals. They never let her really go out because she's like the youngest one out of all of them. She's probably like 70 years old, but they're all like well after 500 or whatever. And so she's not the typical Valkyrie. All the Valkyries are quite very strong. They're out there. As I say, they'll kill you. She's really, really timid. She's really so imagine when this brutish Lycae comes along and just takes her away to his castle, like shit's gonna hit the fan. Then you've got like a horde of Valkyries like trying to get her back, and he's like got his pack of wolves just like protecting her and shit. And it's just fantastic. I feel like I've disclosed quite a lot without really disclosing much, but I would say if you're after like really, really fun read, go for A Hunger Like No Other. It's, to me, it will always be the first in the series. And the rest of the book, because they're still continuing to this day, like I think the author got book 12 something coming out. No.
Yeah.
Something like she's got the latest one coming out this year. Really excited. But all the books that she's released from this series feature different characters who have been mentioned in this book. And it's fun. It's fucking fun. You've got like characters who shouldn't belong together, and it's like you can't run from fate, and that's what I like. That's why I have this whole complex with soulmates, because of this series. So yeah, that's me gushing over this book, like smiling from ear to ear because it just brings me so much joy. But yeah, I think we can move on to you now, Sarah.
That's what books are supposed to do. They're supposed to bring you joy.
Yeah.
That's their point, at least I think.
Yeah, definitely. Unless they have like cliffhangers which are just out of order. And then yeah, you're just infuriated.
So out of order. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about my second dark romance on this list. And this book is fucked up. Okay, I'm just gonna put this out. This book is really fucked up. And it was the first time I'd read this author, and I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, okay, so this is the next book in my list is called Cold Coal Heart by Kay Webster. And it is a dark psychological thriller romance type thing.
Interesting.
Okay, so I'm going to read the synopsis. I once was a hero until she kept me as her captive, tortured me and killed my brothers. She bred a monster. Nothing could stop me from seeking revenge, but it was over so quickly, her easy death and mercy she didn't deserve. For a decade, the burning rage of what she did has transformed me into something uncontrollable, something I want to feed, something I crave to unleash. I want to make her pay, over and over and over again. Finding the evil, spoiled women sates my ravenous and vengeful soul. I hunt, I capture, I destroy. Slowly, so slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6. I'm wicked and sadistic. I am cold, cold heart. My mission is death, and their payment to me has come due. Number 6 thinks she's different, yet when I look at her, I see them. She will pay. They always do.
What the fuck, man? What the fuck?
Okay. Yes.
No. What? No, I was just. Can I just say, from when you started reading that synopsis, my eyes went wide because I was like, "What?" I was like, he's just so angry, and I was like, huh?
Oh my god, this book really fucked with my head. Okay, so I think I read this last year, and oh my gosh, this is the first time I read a Kay Webster book, and Kay Webster writes some really fucked up shit, I have to say. There are some books that I will not read by her because they're way. This one, This one I read, and I was just like enthralled by these characters, because he essentially who he calls number 6. He takes this woman, and I apologize because I cannot remember her name right now. Her name is, Natalie. I had to just get my review of this book up. In fact, I'm going to read this review because it's really short. Be still my heart and soul. Holy cow, where do I even begin? This was so dark and crazy messed up. And somehow I still absolutely loved every scary, tortured, insane moment. This was my first K. Webster book, but after this one, I'll be reading more. The writing was compelling and dragged you along at an alarming pace. I needed to know Cole and Natalie, to understand them, and how they fit together so perfectly despite their mutual craziness. Definitely a dark, delicious psychological thriller with a large dose of steam and romance. So that's what I had to say about this. And then I'm going to also read you these notes I left on Goodreads when I was reading this. So at 39%, I said, this book is really fucked up, but compelling at the same time. At 57%, I said, it's been a while since I've read a truly dark book like this one, and I'm totally enamored. Even though I'm not 100% sure I connect with the characters, I still want to know more. At 77%, I'm on the edge right now. This is my first K. Webster book, and I'm all in. And then I finished it. And I literally was like, what the fuck have I got myself into? I was just amazed by this book because it was so fucked up, like on a level that I haven't really read before. And it was not just it's not just him who's fucked up, which is what I was like thinking. She's also really fucked up as well.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like, oh, I don't want to ruin the story because there was a fuck off massive twist at the end of this book, and I was like, holy shit. But he basically takes this girl and like does all this shit to her and expects her not to, like all the other women, not to enjoy it. But this girl is like, yes, Cole. And I was just like, what the fuck am I reading? Actually, and then you find out that she's also been kept captive by someone else as well, and it's really fucked up. But it is a psychological thriller with romance and darkness involved in it. And it was just, I was reading this and I was like, oh, fuck me, like what did I just read? But they were so compelling that I had to keep reading them, and I had to keep learning what the hell was going on with these two characters. And then when the twist came at the end, I was like, the fuck, man. I was like, the fuck did what? Like, I literally lost my shit in a good way. And yeah, it was just really fucked up. And obviously he's really fucked up because he was in the military, and they went on a mission that went wrong, and this woman kept them captive, and he was like sexually abused by her, and like they were all starved, and so he ends up killing this woman. And then because he can't get over it, he thinks he has to go and kill all these other bad women, essentially, and that's what the book is about. And it's just, fuck me, I was just like, hell. But I recommend this if you want something really dark and fucked up. Go and read this book, and that's why it's one of my favorites, because it like was so messed up, but I was so intrigued by it at the same time. I just could not stop reading it. I was like, oh, fuck. I don't know. It's not for the faint-hearted, like really not for the faint-hearted. I have to warn you. But it made me fall in love with Kay Webster. To be fair, I have not read a book by her since then that I've adored in the same way. And I think I haven't read some of her more extremely taboo books because I have a line, and there are things that I will not go across. But yeah, I recommend Cold Heart by Kay Webster if you want something really psychological, thrilling, dark romance. Then pick this one up, because fuck me, it was a mind fuck. That's all I want to say about it. It's a book that's a mind fuck.
Jeez.
You're just like, I was not expecting you to talk about such a messed up book, Sarah.
Listen, I just...
You're like sitting there going, what have you been reading, Sarah?
No, I'm not surprised. You've said to me like a few times now, I'm reading this book, and I quote, I'm reading this book and it's really fucked up. That's like it's like your quote. That's like your saying. That's like what I expect. If you were like all those dolls, you know, when you pull back those pull string dolls, that'll be like one of your saying. I'm reading this book and it's really fucked up.
Okay. I've said that, but this book is a mindfuck on a level that other books have not been.
I'll be honest, I don't think I'm tempted. I don't think
No.
I feel like my mind can only go through so much fuckery, you know? I feel
Oh,
like
but the problem is it's so worth that mind fuckery. Like, I don't know. I adored it, and it because. And when I was looking at my books for this list, I was like, I have to talk about this book because it was just so insane, but so good. Like, it was compelling on a level that I have not. I like messed up books, but this was beyond that on a level that was just like. But it was something you had to know, and that I think was the best part about the book is that I had to know. There was no choice in the matter. I had to know. You know. But yeah, so there you go. Dark psychological thrilling romance that had some seriously hot sex scenes. Please go and read Cold Heart by Kay Webster. Okay, well, I'll let Sab continue because if I could go on about some of these books forever.
so easy to get drawn into discussing your favorite book. It's really not easy to, because it just changes you, and you just really like. I totally understand what you're saying. You really want to pick up the book, so you're just like, honestly, it's really great. So
yeah,
I don't blame you. Like, it's very easy to hold hard to back. I mean,
yeah.
okay, so this one. Hi EJ, this is for you. So this author, J.R. Ward, phenomenal when it comes to writing.
We talked about J.R. Ward on
Yeah.
last week's episode.
Yes.
Well, no, not last week, the week, whatever time we send out this episode before this one.
So J.R. Ward, and she's done a few series, but this is the one. This is the first series I ever read by her, and so it's called Dark Lover, and it is the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and it's contemporary paranormal romance. It's about vampires because, you know, I do love vampires.
Because we love vampires.
Very much so. But this is on a different scale. Like, I've never read a vampire series like this before. And I think that's why it drew me in straight away. So I'll start reading this synopsis and then I'll talk about it. In the shadows of the night in Caldwell, New York, there's a deadly turf war going on between vampires and their slayers. There also exists a secret band of brothers like no other. 6 vampire warriors, defenders of their race. Among them, none relishes killing their enemies more than Wrath, the leader of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. The only purebred vampire left on the planet, Wrath has a score to settle with the slayers who murdered his parents centuries ago. But when one of his most trusted fighters is killed, orphaning a half-breed daughter unaware of her heritage or her fate, Wrath must usher the beautiful female into the world of the undead. Racked by a restlessness in her body that wasn't there before, Beth Randall is helpless against the dangerously sexy man who comes to her at night with shadows in his eyes. His tales of brotherhood and blood frighten her, but his touch ignites a dawning hunger that threatens to consume them both. So that's book 1. I think there's about 16. I keep making up these numbers. No, honestly, I keep making up these numbers. But I'll be honest with you that the author, writes each book for each of the brothers. So there's been 6 brothers, and there are more. There are more that are introduced. So there's loads more books, and she kind of like has other. She has like what's it called? Spin-off series in this world as well. So that's why it goes on for quite a while. But I have to say, this book intrigued me so much because I started to read it, and it was just unique. It's just unique. It's different, and I probably have mentioned this to you before, Sarah, but when you started writing Devil Syndicate, I said to you that what I really enjoy straight away, relationship between the boys, because it reminds me so much of the Brotherhood in this series.
Oh yes.
And I'll be honest, it really does, because the Brotherhood in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, they all have their personalities. They're all unique. They all have their different tastes in women and just in general, just life. You've got one who's the absolute joker, one who like the mediator, you've got leader, Wrath, who's dominant as fuck. And you've got like a really twisted dark one who like is really twisted and dark.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you so that's why I said to you, these characters that you've created in your Devil Syndicate are so akin to the Brotherhood that I just immediately, even though I didn't know your characters yet, felt that I just felt familiar with them because of their relationship and how they interact with one another. So it's so brotherly and natural, and just the bond is so strong, and that's what I absolutely adore about this book, Dark Lover, was that you get to see that brotherhood, you get to see that bond and how they are with one another, and the respect they have their own, because they're vampires, they've lived centuries, but it's set in the 20th century, so they're very much involved, and they're up to date with technology, if anything advanced, and they're cold-hearted killers. They kill to protect their race because that's what they were born to do. They are warriors. There are other vampires in the world, but they are the warriors. They're the protectors, and it's their job. And it just seeing how a single catalyst, being Beth Randall, can come into the mix and fuck everyone up, and be like a domino effect of creating the rest of the series, which involves each of the brothers meeting their own happily ever after. It's so beautiful to see, and I adore shit like that, I have to be honest. It's just done so well. I love seeing strong, sexy, dangerous men their knees over a woman. It's just something about it.
That's my favorite trope.
Yeah.
It's a man being brought to his knees.
I love it. It's just wonderful. So wonderful. And that's what,
like, yes.
Yeah, and that's what this series does for me. It's so great. There's been some questionable things, but I can forgive the author because I just love the fucking series, man.
You love it so much, you're just like, just ignore that ever happened.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, I have to say, that's definitely, I had to, that's all I'm going to say. If you really do, if ever anyone interested in diving into urban fantasy, there you go. You just dive into, then it's just
Black Dagger Brotherhood.
Yes, the Black Dagger series.
Oh, well, it is on my list, and
of course,
as I've said before, it is just because I have not been in the mood to dive into a series like that. I have to get back into the mood of it. Yeah, guys, go and pick that up, because I know that I will adore these books. I just haven't got around to them. But maybe I'll have some more time.
Maybe
now. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Is it my turn again, or do you want to continue talking about it? No.
No, I can't say anything.
Okay, so I am now going to go into what is currently, I guess, my favorite MM romance.
Oh no! Is it going to be the same one that I want to discuss? Okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
Okay, so I started reading, this is actually the third book in this series.
Okay, no.
And I will not talk about one of the other books, because the last book in the series, because I didn't like it. But the rest of the series is fine. But this third book, one of the reasons I really loved it, and it's called, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correct, but I think it's called the Deke, Deke, by Eden Finley. So, Deke. It is a national hockey. It's a sports romance.
Okay.
And it is part of the Fake Boyfriend series by Eden Finley. But this third book was my favorite because of the two boys. And so I'm going to read the synopsis. Ollie, a word of advice: don't come out to random guys in public restrooms, even if they're charming and adorably nerdy and offer to help. My family believe I can't be happy if I'm not out to the world. I have a bitter ex-boyfriend and an unstable NHL career to show for it. A fake boyfriend seems like an easy and quick solution to get my family off my back, and this guy is volunteering. I take him up on it without asking his name. I really should have asked for his name. Lennon. A word of advice: learn how to introduce yourself properly. In my defense, I don't recognize Ollie Stromberg right away. I cover football, not hockey. I'm not supposed to see him again, and he's never supposed to find out I'm a reporter. That all changes when my editor reassigns me. It's a lesson I should have learned by now. Nothing's changed since high school. Jocks still hate nerds. But even worse, athletes hate journalists, especially ones who know their secret. Dun, dun, dun. These two, oh my God. I don't know what it was about these two, but they just charmed me in a way that the other characters had not charmed me in the story. Like, they were so fucking cute together. And like the way that obviously Ollie's not out to the world as a hockey player, and that was kind of like a lot that I could, I'm not a guy, so I obviously don't know like what it's like to come out or anything like that. But I feel like that Eden Finley handled these things very well, and she, and I really enjoyed it. I just these two, just the way that they were together, and like their relationship and how they built together, and the fact that Ollie kind of hated him, Lennon, after he found out who he was. So they had this kind of meeting, and he tricked his parents to get them off his back, and then they didn't see each other for a while, and then because he didn't know his name, and Lennon got reassigned to cover hockey, he kept writing about Ollie, and Ollie got really annoyed because he thought that Lennon was talking shit about him in his article. And there's this huge misunderstanding between them, but they're so fucking cute together. And I was like, I need these two guys in my life. And it became my favorite book in the series just because of the way that they developed and how they were together as a couple at the end. And I just loved it. And even though they had some misunderstandings and some stupid shit, and I just loved the way that they, the fact that Lennon had this huge crush on him, and he loves jocks, but he's a nerd. And I was just like, so cute.
Oh,
I was like, oh my gosh. And he was just so lovely in a way that I was just like melting. And I love them. Okay. This is why I'm gushing over it. But I do suggest that if you're going to read this, I pick it up from the first book, because Lennon actually does appear, and Ollie in the first book. So you kind of get to know, you don't really get to know them, but you kind of get to see them. And then when you get their romance, it's just like, gosh. Yeah, so this is the third book, and I recommend it up until I think the fourth book, but I hated the last, so we won't talk about that one. The rest of them are pretty good. So yeah, so DK, I think it's DK. I don't actually know how to pronounce this. It's apparently a hockey term. I don't really know much about the NHL, National Hockey League, for anyone who doesn't know what that means. Or that's ice hockey, yes, before people ask. And I don't know anything about, and the other books kind of are more about the NHL, which is the National Football League. So don't know much about sports. I've never really read sports romances before, but I read these and I was just like, oh, yes, please. But yeah, so if you want something, a sports romance that's male on male with fake boyfriends, so they're all most of the books have a fake boyfriend trope, then go ahead and read this. And then please make sure you read the first two books and then get to Ollie and Lennon's romance, because there's my favourite one. So there you go. That is currently my favourite MM romance, but I'm pretty sure that I will find other ones that I like as soon as I start reading more. There you go.
I've read the first book in that series because Sarah recommended it, and I have to say I did enjoy it very much so. And I do have an MM romance on my list to discuss, but it's not that one. Okay. But we'll get around to that one.
Yeah. So what is next?
Okay, so this is the last vampire one that I'll bring up.
Yeah.
So this one, and I apologize, I've never had to say the author's name out loud. So in my head, her name is Janine, but it's spelled in a way where I'm a bit unsure, but I'll just call her Janine. But Janine Frost, or Ginny, okay. Leave it at that. And it's the first book in the Night Huntress series. It's called Halfway to the Grave. I picked up this book years and years ago, and geez, so much fun. Okay, let me read the synopsis and then I can dive in. Half vampire Catherine Crawfield is going after the undead with a vengeance, hoping that one of those deadbeats is her father, the guy responsible for ruining her mother's life. But when she's captured by Bones, a bounty hunter and a vampire, she finds herself forced into an unholy partnership. In exchange for his help in finding her father, and still astonished she hasn't ended up as his dinner, Kat agrees to train with the sexy Night Stalker until her battle reflexes are as sharp as his fangs. But that's not all Bones has to show her. Kat's starting to believe maybe vampires aren't all evil after all, especially one as cute as Bones. She's half convinced that being half dead doesn't have to be all bad. But before she can enjoy her newfound status as confident kick-ass demon hunter, Kat finds herself and Bones hotly pursued by a band of killers. She's going to have a pick a side, and fast. So this is the first book in a series, and the reason why I fell in love with it is not just because Kat is a delightful hunter who just doesn't give a fuck and just kills vampires left, right, and centre. But Bones is a delightful British vampire who is Spike, like he's Spike all over, just witty and hilarious and deadly. And I love him, and I love them both together. It's just such a journey for both of them. I think there's about 6 books just about those two and everything that they go through in the space of years or 6 years. And then there's spin-off series, other vampires who side characters and stuff. And I love spin-off. I just love when side characters get their own happy after. And this author is great. I adore her and everything that she has to offer. In this world, it's just fabulous. The sex is amazing. The chemistry between them is great. You've got this world building, and it's great. Everything about it. I can't honestly. This is a lot. It's a lot to it, actually. There's really a lot to it, but it's basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Spike's relationship, except that I can't really say that she doesn't hate him, because she fully hates him at the beginning. It's crazy. It's insane. And he doesn't trust her because she just kills vampires for no damn reason. Like, it's hilarious. They're hilarious. They're sexy, and they're both very possessive. It's just a fabulous journey. I love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, that I promise that is the last vampire series I'm going to bring up on my list. It's the next one. But yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, this is, I think, also on my list of things to read. So
I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure that I like this and read this.
Definitely,
yeah.
Recommended tons of things to me. I'm like, okay, I'll read them, and then I'm like, I'm not really in the mood for paranormal. So
Yeah.
That's actually just been the case. It's like I've just not been in the mood for paranormal.
Yeah, and reading is it is a mood thing. You have to be in a certain mood. Like, there's one day where I just really want sci-fi romance, and day where I just want a sweet, like, easy, fast read, just a simple happily ever after. There's another where I don't know, I need like an epic fantasy story. It's all about
exactly. It's true. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our last book in the list, and we already mentioned this book before. So it's Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Oh my gosh, this book. Okay, so I'm just going to read the synopsis before I say anything else. Jordan. He took me in when I had nowhere else to go. He doesn't use me, hurt me, or forget about me. He doesn't treat me like I'm nothing, take me for granted, or make me feel unsafe. He remembers me, laughs with me, and looks at me. He listens to me, protects me, and sees me. I can feel his eyes on me over the breakfast table, and my heart pumps so hard when I hear him pull in the driveway after work. I have to stop this. It can't happen. My sister once told me there are no good men, and if you find one, he's probably unavailable. Only Pike Lawson isn't the unavailable one. I am. Pike. I took her in because I thought I was helping. She took a few meals and cleaned up a little. It was an easy arrangement. As the days go by, though, it's becoming anything but easy. I have to stop my mind from drifting to her and stop holding my breath every time I bump into her in the house. I can't touch her, and I shouldn't want to. The more I find my path crossing hers, though, the more she's becoming a part of me. But we're not free to give in to this. She's 19 and I'm 38, and I'm her boyfriend's father. Unfortunately, they both just moved in my house.
Whoa.
Oh my god. This sounds like so much drama, right?
Whoa.
But
I hadn't even.
Yeah, have you not heard?
I hadn't even read the synopsis, so I just only been told it was an age gap romance.
This is not just.
I hadn't read the synopsis. I was just like, yeah, I've got that on my list. So I'm so happy that you read that, because I was like, what? Just that end sentence was like, what?
Yep. Okay. So, oh my gosh, this book.
Wow. I really want to read it.
You should. Okay. This book, I don't want to spoil this book, so I'm not going to, because I want Sab to read this one. But I will talk about my feels during this book. Now, when I read that that he was her boyfriend's dad, I was like, oh shit, bruv, like what? Is this gonna make me uncomfortable? Is this gonna be too much? But it really wasn't. And you know why? And this is not going to spoil the book. I'm just going to literally talk about the opening of the book. Okay. And that's not going to spoil it. So when she meets Pike for the first time, she doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't know who she is. And they have this immediate like chemistry together. And it was just so wonderful. And I was like, oh my god. And then of course they find out who each other is, and it's like, fuck. And obviously he's like, 20 odd years older than her. So there's that. And I thought, often with age gaps, I have a problem with them because there is, because there's such a gap, usually because the man is older. I sometimes struggle with knowing why these two like each other, but it was very, very obvious why Pike and Jordan liked each other and were into each other. And, they both wanted the same things out of life, which was really lovely to see. And the way that their relationship grows is just so much. And there's kind of like sexual and tension and attraction to each other makes them have this kind of slightly volatile relationship in the beginning. And drove me nuts because I was like, I need you two to kiss each other, but you can't because he's her boyfriend's dad. And I will have to say, nothing happens. This is not a spoiler. Nothing happens between them while she's with a boyfriend, because I know people do not like cheating. There is no cheating in the book. Okay, people, there's no cheating.
There's no cheating.
No cheating. Zero cheating, which I know turns people off books, and I hate. So I'm just going to say there's no cheating. But it was just such a beautiful romance, and it's a slow burn, and it's just really lovely. And I sat there reading this, and I literally had so many times where I stopped and had to like update my Goodreads to go, oh my god, I'm in love with these two, because it was just so beautiful. And just let's say the sex in this book, when it comes around, oh my gosh, fanning oneself.
Amazing.
But you have to. She does. Penelope makes you wait, though. She makes you wait for the scene, and it's so worth it. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for you to read this because you will just.
I can imagine that there is a fuckload of angst in this book.
Oh, the angst is like, yeah,
and I
so
love
good.
angst. Oh, geez, I just love the build up. I love a slow burn, and I love the chemistry and the build up to that moment.
Yeah, you will love this. I have to say, you will love the build up and the way this romance happens, and it's just everything. And I was just like, I need to read more Penelope Douglas now.
Okay, that's great.
I know we shouldn't be talking about books we didn't like. I did try reading another book by her, and I really didn't enjoy it, so I had to DNF it. But I do plan on reading her Devil's Night series, which is her dark romance. Birthday Girl is not a dark romance; it's just a forbidden age gap. But I adore her writing because it's so like the characters are so well developed, and I think that's the best part about it. And you completely understand why the characters are together. and that's what I loved so much about this book. But obviously, it was very frustrating because of all the angst and the longing for each other, and you really felt it in their chapters. Oh, obviously, you get both points of view, thankfully. Oh my gosh, the angst in this book, just off the chart angst. But yes, this is one of my favorites, and I read it not that long ago as well. And yeah, it still sticks in my mind because it's just so good, and I can't wait for Sab to read it.
Oh yeah, I'm really, really excited.
So,
I really am.
So if you like age gaps and you like angst and you like forbidden, pick this book up.
Oh, brilliant! I will. No, definitely. And I am looking forward to Devil's Night series as well. It was also recommended to me.
The only reason I'm waiting is the last book is not out, and I want to binge read these, so I'm waiting for the last book to go.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I'm done with these books where they're like, I know that they're all standalones. However, from what I've seen about these books, they're quite intertwined with the characters. So I'm like, I want to, to read them in order, and I want to be able to read them and binge them because I'm sick. I know I write cliffhangers, but I'm fucking sick to death of like getting to a series and then realizing the last book is not out, and I'm like, God damn it! Yeah. So anyway, we'll move on to Sab's.
Okay, this is the last one.
Last book. Okay.
This is a romance.
Yes.
And it is called Fresh Catch by
yes.
by Kate Canterbury. And Sarah, you know all about this one because you recommended this to me. I have to say that I love romance with a passion. And the first time I read romance was actually in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. And for about 4 books, I was dying for this couple to get together because there was so much angst there. And it was worthwhile. They got their own book and it was just amazing. So since then, I haven't found an romance that I've actually enjoyed. So the fact that Sarah was able to find and recommend an romance to me was just everything, because when she said, Fresh Catch, and it was like 5 stars, I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot, definitely. So, let me let's read this synopsis. Okay. Take a vacation, they said. Get away from Silicon Valley's backstabbing and power grabbing. Recharge the innovative batteries. Unwind, then come back stronger than ever. Instead, I got lost at sea and fell in love with an antisocial lobsterman. There's one small issue. Owen Bartlett doesn't know who I am, who I really am. I don't like people. I avoid small talk and socializing, and I kick my companions out of bed before the sun rises. No strings, no promises, no problems. Until Cole McClish's boat drifts into Talbot's Cove and I bend all my rules for the sexy sailor. I don't know Cole's story or what he's running from, but one thing is certain, I'm not letting him run away from me. Guys, oh my goodness. So from the get-go, wearing Cole's point of view, he is clearly trying to get away from the stresses of his busy lifestyle. He's the CEO of his own company and it's just very, very demanding, and shit happens and he just needs to get away. So he does that thing, where he literally gets away and no one really knows where he is. And the typical thing happens where he just gets his boat just malfunctions or something, and then he ends up drifting into this cove. And in this cove, there's this man, and
this grumpy man,
really fucking older, grumpy, old man, not old man, but sexy man, called Owen Bartlett, who is complete opposite to Owen in every way. Owen's very much how would you describe Owen? Owen,
he's very set in his ways and he doesn't want to change it.
Yeah,
He's very much he's a bit curmudgeonly. Is that the word, curmudgeonly? he's just very grumpy,
Yeah.
and he's like, I don't. What is this man doing? How dare he comes into my life? And
He's just very
Yeah.
he's got his he's basically
he's old school.
that's
man.
it. He's old school, and Cole is not.
No.
But like the instant chemistry between these two is just insane. I adore it. I was living for it, and I was like, these little subtle looks, these innuendos, these glances, and you know, the moment where
the inner thoughts about
yeah, it was just the build up to these two, and I was really really happy with these two. I just was shipping them like no tomorrow. I was like, come on, you are both in a confined space, like just get down and dirty now, immediately. Like you both want to, they both wanted to, but you know,
they wanted to.
but as like every romance, you can't just dive straight in. There has to be some kind of, there has to be a build up to it, and I did enjoy that build up. It was great. But no, honestly, I loved it. I loved this romance. It was just everything. It ended with my heart feeling so warm and fuzzy and shit. And yeah, I was happy. It just makes me smile.
Yeah.
It's just everything. It's so.
I agree. It was so sweet, and they just had so much like passion and chemistry for each other. And when they finally came together, it was so exciting. And I was just like, oh
yeah.
And I just loved them. The way that they were just, and the way that they kind of like, even though they would come from different worlds, they just kind of got each other. And that's what I liked the most, because they just didn't, it wasn't like, oh, I don't understand why these guys two like each other. It was just like, yeah.
I really enjoyed the fun side that Cole got out of Owen, and that was really really fun to see. And it was just, it was just great. Like Owen's just he's crazy sexy and dominant and alpha, and their relationship was just everything. So yeah, there we go.
I don't know, they were so cute. They were cute together. I was like, oh. And I'm so glad at the end. That was like my heart sung.
Yeah, it does. It's the same thing for me. Like, I'm just grinning from ear to ear now.
Yeah, it was one of the sweetest. Like, that's actually one of them. I haven't read many romances, and that was one of the first ones I kind of like really just completely got like swept away into. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these two, and I couldn't stop reading them. I was just like, I love these two.
Yeah.
And then when Sab was like, do you recommend any romance? I was like, yep, here you go. Ching, here you go. But yeah, I need to read more of these, because I like absolutely adore them. Not in a, it's not, I don't, the thing is that I understand that some people think that this is slightly like fetishization of like men together, but it's not really that for me. I just, any sort of kind of romance between two people, it's about the connection and the love between the two characters. I don't give a shit who they are like into. If it's a girl, to be fair, I've never actually read a female on female romance, and I need to. But it doesn't matter if you're like gay, straight, bisexual, pan. I mean, fuck, I've written those characters, and it's just like, doesn't really, love is love, guys. Love is love. So who cares who it is? Just give me some MMs. Give me some more man on man romances.
Oh, I love it. I fucking love it.
Give me some more. Give me all the romances, because they are just. I'm here for it, man. I'm here. We are here for romance. Okay. Because this is a romance podcast, and we're both romance writers.
Yes, very true.
Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. These are some of our favorite romances. And these are, so most of mine are the ones I've read in the last couple of years. I know some of Sab's aren't, but because I have a terrible memory, sometimes I think the problem is I'm storing so much information about my characters that I don't have room to keep information about everything else.
No, that's no problem at all.
Yeah, But so there's some of our favorite romances. and we were very excited to do this
Mm-hmm.
episode. We obviously have a ton more favorites, but we have to narrow it down so that we would
yeah.
to something, the ones that we wanted to really talk about on the podcast. I'm sure in a later episode we will do another one of these. But yeah, thank you guys for coming to listen to our podcast again, because we really appreciate the listens, and hopefully you enjoyed hearing us gush about romance.
Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
It's been very fun. Okay, so that was the Made in Romance podcast, and we will see you next time. Cheerio.
Bye.